Let's see if my internet will not frickin' die today. And also my volume. Okay, there we go. I can actually hear myself now. That's good. Okay, let's see if my internet will allow me to actually get something done today. You can see that I did do a little bit of stream yesterday evening still. Nothing too major. I just changed some of the sprite stuff around. I made like another little table. Some of the stuff that we're going to need to redo as well. We're like 30 seconds in and I haven't dropped any frames yet. It seems to be stable for now. So let's hope that it maintains stability. And to ensure that, I am going to make a separate tab of Chrome and then close everything else, because that seemed to be relevant yesterday. And we're just going to open this as a Google tab instead. And we're not going to close anything so that I can easily reopen my tabs after the stream. That's going to be the way we do it. Hopefully. Okay, so what we wanted to do yesterday is do a little bit of like art related stuff, and that's what we're going to be doing here today as well. So we have this, and at this point, like, we can't see the world around it anymore. It feels like we're actually inside of this building. It feels really good until we're here. So we need to finish up the inside here, but this is kind of the layout that I'm thinking, right? As well as obviously needing these things to have collision, but we'll get back to that in a moment. I've put the computer thing down here, and we definitely need to set up some better collision for this as well. So we can also start working maybe on doing the booster packs and buying them. Then we've got the chest here that we can store all the cards in. We've got our own inventory, obviously. And then we've got all these display cases, which now work with load game and all that kind of stuff. We are going to ignore the fact that these guys still don't know how to walk. Also, what I want to do is, and this is going to be quite relevant, is I'm going to go in here and we're going to say, hey, directional light, exponential height fog, sky atmosphere, skylight, sky sphere, and volumetric cloud. You're going to go. You're gone. We're not going to use you anymore. And the reason for that is that they, first and foremost, don't even like properly cast light on this, because these materials, I believe, use emissiveness. We're going to change that as well. I'm going to change these materials around to use base color so that I can actually put in some lighting on this map. I think that'll be interesting to experiment with. So let's actually start with that first. Masked material, default sprite material. You see they use emissive color. I think I'm going to set that back to default lit. And then the color output is just going to be going into the base color instead. I think that might make it look a little bit better. And then I think we have, well, there we go. Let's set this to unlit. Except not really, because we need to change the material for these guys as well. Because there's a separate material, obviously. Think, maybe not. Like what? There we go. This also should be default lit, and we're going to go into the base color for this, which means that they, when we apply this, also will become invisible. Everything is black now. Great. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's stream. We're going to do some good stuff, hopefully. The first thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to reintroduce the skylights, because we do want to have like a minimum amount of light, and the easiest way to do that is to set up a skylight with a cube map, and the cube map is just going to be daylight. And then the light color we're going to make significantly more orange. Maybe a little less saturated still, so that it approaches white. Maybe we just have like a white one as well. Gray texture, there we go. So if we now set this to saturation none, that's a good like baseline for our lighting. Let's make that a little darker. Actually, I didn't think about this very well, because now everything is going to get that light, including the sprites that should be near black. So maybe we don't actually use a skylight. Maybe we just get rid of that and we put in... I didn't look at all at how other people do lighting into the games. So we're going to just kind of figure this out together. I guess what we can do is we can just like set up a light like this. Oh, I definitely don't want this roughness at 0.5. The roughness should definitely be at 1 for both of these materials. So we apply that. I don't want anything to be shiny. I could maybe look into like making roughness maps for some of these sprites, because that is a thing that we can do, right? But for now, it's just all going to be like evenly lit. And we're going to set the intensity to be significantly more. And then if we just make the source width and height a lot bigger, can we please visualize that? Thank you very much. I guess we can actually keep this relatively closed down as well. With a pretty big attenuation radius. I don't want to preview the nav mesh. Okay, let's actually try to do this like barn door style instead. What if we do it a little more like this, right? Does this look shit? It's a little bit more going on. Like, this is more visually interesting already, right? I don't know that I think that it looks good, but it looks more visually interesting. Definitely needs some, like, more color stuff going on, though. But we can add that in with, like, a couple of spotlights, right? If we just, like, start putting in some spotlights. And we can bake a lot of this as well. Right, we could, maybe. Probably should. I think right now it's probably using lumen. Right, probably don't need that. Yeah, probably don't need to use a global illumination for this. I don't think that's really going to do much for us, if I'm being honest with you. So yeah, if we now put this as a slightly more orange color, do we actually have... I think there's a way to say, yeah, use temperature instead. I'm more familiar with that due to, like, using filming lights and stuff like that. So, lower temperature means that we are going to have warmer colors. So, like this, we can say every single one of these display cases is going to have, like, a light over it. I don't think they line up very well, do they? Maybe if we're doing this, we should be doing this in top-down view. Yeah, they don't line up, like, at all. Holy hell. Can we please just show everything? Why doesn't it show the lights? Probably because we're in top view. Oh no, it actually does line up pretty well. It just needs to... You know what? These don't need to line up with the tiles. I don't know why I thought I would want to have those line up with the tiles. That makes no sense. I guess you can make like a pretentious argument that no, this will make it feel more authentically old. But I think that's kind of bullshit. Because none of this, like, when we start adding this soft lighting to everything, none of this is going to feel authentically old. And that's kind of the point, right? It's this... Like, pixel art in general is kind of a Mandela effect. Like, this is not how old games used to look like. This is how old games look like when you emulate them on modern hardware. That's why we like pixel art, because we all are pirates. Well, it's not all due to piracy, but like most of it is. So yeah, I think that this is kind of the way we're going to do things. I feel like this is quite a nice way to light these things up. And we'll do a lot more lighting as we go on. And these can't be baked at the moment, I don't think, because they're overlapping, but I don't really care too much. We'll keep adding to this as we go. But doesn't this already feel more cozy than the screenshot that you saw in the thumbnail? Like, the thumbnail was very bright, and this feels... I feel like this is a lot more cozy. And that's like a thing, right? That's the modern day, like, that's a buzzword that we're all using now for games. Things feel cozy. We like cozy games. So let's go back and actually add in the collision. Also, I added, kind of hard to see, but I added some offsets to the layers so that actually it's just easier to see. When I stand under this, it renders over top of my character so that I can like walk down a little bit and feel like I'm standing behind it. All that kind of good stuff. So let's go back in here somewhere. Let's actually save everything because Paper 2D has a tendency to crash. How's everybody doing? I'm just rambling on. That's character sprite. That's definitely not where we want to be. Tile maps. We have the tile set. And we need to start adding collision to these, which we need to do one at a time, which is annoying. But it'll be fine. So we'll be adding collision only to the bottom half of these and only to the, or the top half of these rather. No. For the top ones, I don't even think we're using the top tiles anywhere, to be fair. But for the bottom ones, I don't want to have collision. We'll figure it out. I'm not entirely sure where I want to have collision, now that I think about it. Like for these ones, I'm pretty sure I just want to have collision all around. And then for these ones, I want to, I think just... I just realized this and this is effectively the same tile, but it doesn't really matter. I guess that means that this one, if we want a tile that is like full collision like this, we can do it. I wish we could just copy paste collision and then mirror it. It's not that big a deal to just add in a polygon. You know, optimize where we can optimize. Yeah, and then for these like side-by-side ones, no, don't add in a box. I don't want to do that. We're going to do a full collision as well. Because we're going to be walking at these from the side. Making the finishing touches to my university projects. Oh, that's making it maximally bad. I was going to say, that's interesting. That's cool. What is it going well? Apparently not. Okay, that's worrying. Because for some reason, Game Design University teaches your graphics, and I do not want to make graphics. Yeah, that's not game design, is it? Like, if you're studying for game design, like, you have a guy for the graphics, right? Or a girl. Or a girl. A gender-neutral guy. Like, that's kind of the point of being a game... Well, I don't know if that's the point of being a game designer, but, like, that's definitely... If you're a game designer, you would hope that you're not the person making the graphics everywhere, right? At least that's what I would imagine you don't want to be doing. So I don't know, that kind of feels a little weird that they make you do that. But hey, after you're done with that, you can just tell them to go fuck themselves and never look back, right? So I just kind of gotta stick with it. As unfortunate as that often is. Oh, that's probably why I was being a bitch. Oh, it's because it's snapping. Hold on, does that mean that I can add box and I can actually move these? I can. I just had snapping on the other day. Oh, that makes this so much easier. Can I select 2 of them at once? Okay, I don't think I can. Oh, that added a... Hold on, does that add extra verts? That adds extra verts. Holy fuck. And I can move 2 of them at once. Okay, that changes my life. It doesn't really, but it sounds dramatic. And I'm a YouTuber, damn it. I need to be dramatic. So yeah. That's probably good enough. It's not an exact science, is it? We'll see. Maybe it needs to be. So these now have collision. I guess that these all just get a box collision, to be honest with you. I mean, now that I know, I can just select the edges. Why didn't I try that before? Of course I can just select the edges. No, duh. And then for the top half of the table, I guess I can just make these come down a little bit. It's quite important, though, to make sure that these come down to about the same height, all of them. Otherwise, that's going to potentially lead to some issues. Probably doesn't like come down to a sub-pixel level, right? That should teach me more game design next year. Okay, that's good. But I feel like we'll be making something cool within the next 2 months. I hope so. If you do, feel free to share it. I always like seeing cool stuff. Makes me feel incompetent as fuck seeing what other people can do, but hey. I call that motivation. Other people call it discouragement. I call it competitive motivation. I don't know, there's nothing that inspires me more than seeing other people's work. Like, that's honestly like 80% of the reason that I watch other people's devlogs, is seeing other people make progress and having ideas and even like failing, to be honest with you, is what inspires me. Like, oh, if they're working that hard at their stuff, I really need to like make sure that I put in work for my stuff as well. And that can become toxic real quick. So don't take that as like a definitive, this is always a good thing. That can become very toxic to yourself. But I also think that it serves as good motivation, and why... I think I know why. You will see my project 1 in the first couple of weeks when I have a one-on-one on it. Sure. I'm looking forward to it. So what's happening here is that my collision box doesn't come up to this height, and the collision for these tiles only goes up, I think, not down. Is that a thing that I can... Collision offset override. I can do something about that. So if I set this to like minus 15, I think. Does that then fix that? It does. So now I can stand behind my counter and I can feel like all fancy and shit. Same way I can stand like behind this chest. It does so much. It's like fucking around with collision a little bit and with like render order, or in this case, like literal physical order in the world, because we're in a 3D space. Like the impression that we can walk behind this just because we can clip through it, because it only has collision starting at the bottom half, it does so much to make things feel more real. It's kind of insane. Specifically because we are not in something real, we're in unreal. I'll shut up. I will shut up. Okay, cool. So that works. Now, I want to add in a couple of places where people can actually play cards. So I'm thinking we're going to be putting down some tables. If I put down like a couple of tables here, like this maybe, and have like, those are not evenly spaced out. That's not good. I can probably have those on the same layer as this bit. That's not a problem. It just needs to not be there. Now they're evenly spaced out, right? There's like one tile. Yeah. And then maybe what we can do is, because like we have a tile system, right? That's the whole point of this, is maybe we can make like one big table over here. So we can just do like one table that's a little bit bigger. I don't know how well this is going to tile, to be honest with you. It seems like it's actually going to tile pretty well. And then we have the paint bucket tool. And we've got one table that's a little bit bigger. Again, I'm aware that these tables look like they're made out of bricks rather than wood. I am a shit artist. But now we have these tables, which also have collision. We can walk behind them. Yeah, so there we go. We get kind of stuck on the tables, though. Sometimes. It's not that bad. We can't do... Yeah, so if we walk very aggressively down, we get fucked. This is why I want to be able to like draw the collision for multiple tiles at the same time. Because I need the collision for this to line up very closely to the collision for this. Like, is there a coordinate system that I can like copy over or something like that? Collision data. Yeah, I don't think. Like, I guess what I could try to do is, can I maybe copy this collision data and then like paste it in here and then just pull it out like this. There's a little bit of overlap there, but that's probably not a big deal. So yeah, if I just copy this over and paste it in here as well. Yeah, so again, this overlapping a little bit, probably not that big a deal. And then I need to do the same thing with the edges going down, most likely. So let's just move it out a little bit more. So now we copy this one and we paste it over here, and then we just like pull this up and we paste it over here, and again we pull this up, and now they should all be perfectly aligned and not allow me to get stuck on them. That's like the point of what we're doing here. For this one though, I guess we may want to just like, no, add some points to here after all. Actually, I think we can just not quite. We need to do this and then that. So yeah, that's probably going to be slightly more problematic, I imagine. I can't even zoom in more than I am right now, so that is not ideal. I don't even know if this is really going to make a notable difference in the like legs of those tables, but what do you know? We're trying to figure this out as we go along. The most important bit is, do I still get stuck on the tops? I still do, so it literally didn't make a difference. Okay, cool, good to know. Sure, I don't really care that much. Probably want to move these down a little bit, and probably actually let's make make a folder for this. Can we create folder, display cases? Because we're gonna need to move this around quite a bit, I imagine. So let's also take these spotlights, because they're all so well aligned. Don't parent it to one specific display case. That would be... You could parent it to like just an empty object, to be fair. Oh, these ones I do want to snap though, to increments of 80. Can move these down like to about here. And this is starting to look like a cozy little card shop, isn't it? Like we have our checkout counter with our booster pack buying stuff and our inventory chest. Got some places that we can play some card games, except that we don't have actual like rules for the card game. We've got a table for people with more friends, so definitely not for me. And now we've got places to buy and sell the cards. That's actually kind of all that we need. That said, though, we have a lot of dead space around it. Doesn't matter that much. Can we change the dimensions of the map? Yeah, so let's make this... I don't know, let's make this like 100 by 100 instead. Probably plenty big enough. It's actually probably too big, to be fair, but... we can just fill this in. Let's make it come down. Oh my god, no. A little bit more to like down here or something. So I still do wish that I could just like kind of like line this up properly. Maybe I can. Hold on. Can I just like, if I do control and I think I can. Oh, this way you can, I think, maybe. Okay, so now it snaps to the... No, it doesn't. It just does something else that's maybe a little weird. Don't know what that's all about. Okay, so what I want is I want to just like click on a square here and then click on a square here and just make it fill in a line. I feel like that is not that strange of a thing to ask for in a... give it a little more room here. In a tile map editor. I feel like that is actually pretty reasonable to want to have. But it says beta preview. It's sat out for like 3 years at this point, I think. Potentially longer. I mean, I am the guy trying to make a 2D game in Unreal, so... That's why the overlap was so so jarring, is because I didn't actually add in these. There we go. That makes it feel a little smoother, hopefully. Now we have a corner tile here. Dead Space 2D. I mean, I have a lot of Dead Space, and this is 2D, but I'm not making Dead Space 2D because that seems like a horrible fucking task to need to do. Okay, and with that, I think we have now enclosed this entire thing. No, we have not. I'm lying to you. I'm very sorry for lying to you. Did not mean to lie to you, but now we have. So can we just like fill? Yeah, we can. Makes it a little more clear what's going on. The next layer is where we kind of just like fill. Oh my god! No. Okay, not quite yet. Not quite yet. That. we fill this up like that. Put in a corner tile. I probably should have just made some tiles that are only shading and not shading on top of a texture. I realized that after exporting the textures, so here we are. But since we have a layer system in the tile map editor itself, that probably would have been preferable. Oh well, it's not that big a deal, as you can see. We can just fill this in now, and that's our game shop. Dead Space 2 developers in Unreal. Sounds like a new horror story for aspiring game developers. I know, right? That sounds like that's how you make the news. In a he jumped off a building kind of way, not in a he made a successful game kind of way. And then I guess what we do, we erase like a 3 wide. That's 5 wide, but sure, let's stick with it. And then like a certain depth here as well, just to make like a hallway that the characters can enter and leave. So that they don't just pop out of existence when they are done buying stuff. Because that's very much how it works right now. And it's a little goofy. I don't know that I have a corner tile for that, actually. I might not. We'll see if that's gonna be a problem. It might be. That's the wrong layer. The reason that matters is because does it really add them one by one and not by each stroke that you do? Oh my god. Unreal, you're killing me, man. I can totally see how that happens. It just like in the like main while loop, it just checks your cursor every frame and just spawns in a tile if there's no tile yet, right? That's just like that's the easiest way to do that. So I can see how that happens, but that's kind of funny. We're not even doing that much programming today, I think. We might do the booster pack generating. I think we probably will end up doing that. Do we have... Yeah, these also need to be cleared out as normal ones. Okay, so then I think I might not have made the enough tiles. Because this is not going to... Yeah, see, so that doesn't quite line up. I actually need like one tile that just has a couple of dark pixels right over here. And then for like this area, which is on this layer, I also don't have the proper tile. So we're going to need to make some extra tiles, but I'll probably do that off stream. Also helps to use the right tile here. Like, we're missing a handful of, like, inverse corners, effectively. Because I can't just put in a corner here. It needs to be that corner but inverted, I think. Does this work? Yeah, it needs to be this corner but inverted. I don't have tiles for that at the moment, I don't think. Which is kind of unfortunate. But this will do for now. We'll get back to this, maybe, probably not. But now we have a place that people can walk to. Like technically including the player. Okay, before we do anything else, that took a little too long to load. Feels like it's about to crash at any moment now. I don't like that feeling. There's a little weirdness in some of these layers. We have we have darkness. And we have our little path here. Okay, we definitely need to add in a little bit of lighting for that as well. Let's just copy over one of these lights that we have here. This one will do. Probably like nice to just put some extra lights in here. Let's put like one more down here as well. I feel like maybe this tile map is just a little too large. I could swear that I just like clipped over one of the tables. Maybe not. I don't know. So yeah, now we have a way out of here. I must say, I would much prefer if we had a light source that somehow could like not cast light on things under. I guess we can do post-processing for that. Yeah, let's make a quick post-processing material. I think that's going to help me out a lot. And you'll see why in a moment. It's going to be pretty easy. Post-process, pixel look. Which will also give us a little bit of like glowiness and stuff like that. So that'll be fun. This is 5.4, I believe. Also, I forgot to re-enable chat. There you guys are. So this has been a hot minute since I did anything post-processing. Is it like scene texture? I think it's scene texture, and then yeah, so we get the post-process input 0. And there, what do we do? I was thinking just an if, but that's going to be a very harsh cutoff. So if A is bigger than like 0.5, like whatever. No, we actually want the base color for that. Hold on. If the base color is bigger than 0.5, then we output that, and otherwise we just output 0. That's the basic idea. That's probably going to look a little goofy, though. Let's see what that looks like. It might look good enough for now. Post-processing volume. Just make that boundless. And add our material. And see if this sucks. It might. What did we call it? Post-processing something? Pixel look. Makes sense. Yeah, so that's definitely not it. Maybe 0.5 is just too big of a value. That seems like it might be progress. This is not doing what I wanted to do. It's not even doing what I would imagine it to do, to be honest with you. Why is it actually changing colors? Yeah, so that's definitely not the way to do it. But we do want to use the base color. I guess what we do is we desaturate the base color. And then we add contrasts. Like a lot of fucking contrasts. Maybe not that much. And that will loop us between these. Maybe that'll... maybe that'll do better. So... yeah, no, that's not doing it either. I didn't really change anything, so it might just be lucky. I did do a reinstall of OBS. That's the only thing that I really changed. Like, I uninstalled it. I kept user preferences because I'm not setting up all my, like, scenes again. And it still also has all my plugins. I thought I might have, like, a plugin that was doing something weird, but maybe not. So yeah, if we just do base color, that should just effectively cancel out all the lighting. That's okay. That's the issue. I'm looking at diffuse colors, I think, what I want. Isn't it? Scene color, normal post-process passes should use... Yeah, that's not it. I used something like this before. Material diffuse, computed from gbuffer. I think this is what I'm looking for, though. But it makes everything darker for some reason. I don't know why. Let's see if we can do this without the material, actually. So if we get rid of the material and we just do... we can just crush the shadows as well. That's also a possibility that we can do, right? So we can say the shadows, the like offset and gain we can work with. So just make the shadows darker. And what is counted as a shadow will just be increased. Let's add a little bit of bloom. Because we're making an Unreal Engine game, we need to have bloom. Welcome to Unreal Engine. We now have bloom. It's maybe a little too much, but a little bloom actually does look good. And let's go back into our color correction because we now did the shadows. I probably want the midtones to increase them a little bit. And then the highlights, I think I want to also lower a little. Just like ever so slight little bit of color correction to make things. I think this does look better. It does end up looking better. Just a little bit of like smoother colors. And then with some more lighting, like if we just take these lights from here, for instance. And we say, hey, copy those over to there. Probably something like this. And maybe for these, it's good to go back into the top view to make sure that they are like somewhat aligned, right? God damn it. There we go. I'm not even aligned, like... Oh, that's annoying. Move them over. And I think it might be this one and this one. Yeah. And for all of them, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase their attenuation radius a little bit, if I can. So something like 1200, just so that I have a little bit more like intensity and fall off. And then the inner cone angle I'm going to set to like very low. The outer cone angle I'm going to make a little lower. Maybe not that much lower. And then take a rectangle light that might be somewhere around here. You can't actually see a rectangle light very well from the top. Huh, it's interesting. Makes sense. Let's pull that down. Lower the intensity, and this one maybe give it a little bit like of a interesting tint to it. Just to have something visually going on this corner over here. And then maybe the barn doors can be a little more open as well. And then for now, one of the last things that I do want to do is make a pure white light. That's just going to be... hold on. Right around here. Can I not make it even tighter than this? This is what 1 is. I want it to be... Can I just scale it in the X? I don't think that works with the lights, does it? No, it doesn't. That's a little annoying. So what I wanted is, I suppose what I can do is just set a barn door angle to be like exactly straight, and then I have... Yeah. So I just want a very intense strip of light to imply sunlight coming from out to in. Like right on the edge here. And then maybe we do want the barn door angle to be ever so slightly more open still. Or actually, we probably want this to be just a little angle, right? Yeah, that's what we want. It's a very good point. So this should probably still be like that. Just rotated as fuck. We'll get there at some point. See, that kind of implies sunlight. Can even set this to being much brighter. Set much brighter. There we go. So yeah, it does take a little while every time I want to start up the game now, which is worrying. But I think we have a pretty like nice little looking shop here now that works. And okay, so maybe just for like collision related purposes, I think this being a little bit more like that feels better. And probably want to have some level of lighting here as well. So let's take one of these spotlights maybe. Copy one over to here. But this is going to probably be a little colder, more official lighting, right? And then what I want to do, I had this idea, is put in a rectangle light here. Turn it 90 degrees. And barn door angle is going to be very tight as well. And this is going to be like a very blue light. And the reason it's going to be a very blue light is because it is a computer light. Isn't that cute? Isn't that fun? I think that's fun. And then what I'll probably do is I'll copy this over and make one with a slightly bigger width and whatever. Move that over here. Make it slightly less intense. This can be maybe even... that's actually pretty good intensity. So that way, it should also cast like a little bit of blue light on us as we approach the computer screen here. Ever so slightly. Makes it feel a little bit more alive. That being said, I'm not going to say that I'm a great artist, because I'm not. But this chest really stands out like a sore thumb at this point. Like, all these other textures kind of look like something. I do realize now that I want to do one very important thing. And that is go into the pixel art, like the sprite mask thing. And two-sided, I don't think it matters. But what I do want to do is I want to have no casting of shadows. Can I not say that on a material basis? Wait, what? I mean, I can just tell the tile map not to cast shadows, so it already doesn't cast shadows. Then why... Wait, what is the issue then? Is it because this needs to be an orthographic camera? Because it definitely does need to be an orthographic camera. Oh, it's in the camera options, probably. Probably should have done that a long time ago. So yeah, that fixes the issues as well. It's a little bit of twitchiness sometimes. Anyway. Yeah, this spotlight definitely needs to be a little softer and less intense. But aside from that, I kind of like the vibe we have going on here. For the most part, I'm able to halfway clip through this table, which is a little weird, but there's only so much that I can like actually be worried about, and this is definitely not one of those things. This light though definitely is. The intensity for this should be way lower, and the inner cone angle should be way bigger, and so should the outer cone angle. I'm not saying that this looks great, right? But if you like compile this right now and you ask people like, hey, do you think this is an Unreal Engine game? I think we've gotten to the point where Unreal Engine is probably not the first thing that you think about anymore when you look at this game, right? Because no person in their right mind would make this in Unreal. Unless you already have experience with Unreal like me, and you want to make a like 2D top-down game. But this feels like it is at this point like a Game Maker or a Unity game or something like that. Then again, up to the moment that you step into this light and you see this blooming, and then you're like, oh yeah, no, this is Unreal. Not that Unity doesn't have blooming, but it's kind of like a meme, right? Like the Unreal bloom. So I guess we start working on the booster pack situation. Because this kind of just like works at this point. I suppose the only thing we have left to do is to spawn in things here at random. We can do that in the level blueprint. So let's put in... Can we do that in the level blueprint? We probably just make a separate actor for that. Yeah, NPC spawner. That's not where you put in the name of your class. You do that after clicking on this. Oh, I just made a new blueprint. Anyway, it doesn't matter. NPC spawner. I don't know why that needs an underscore. That doesn't make any sense. But we're going to just spawn NPCs like right over here. I want them to be at the exact same height as the player, which is 16 in the Z. And all this is going to do is like once a minute is going to spawn in an NPC. It's not going to be that difficult. Like literally all we do is in here, begin play, set timer by event, custom event, spawn actor from class. Let's set the timer for now to 60 seconds. We might end up doing something different with this. That's fine. And then the class, we spawn a BP NPC. And the spawn transform is just get actor transform. I wonder if you can change the time in between spawns easily through this handle. Definitely should be a looping, by the way. I don't think so. I don't think so. At least not in Blooper. Maybe in C++. There's no saying senior developers, I don't think. We are saying people just think differently from other people. That's what insane people say. I don't disagree with you, but... Anyway, let's try to see... Okay, yeah, so that could be a bit of an issue. Why doesn't it generate nav mesh around the walls? That seems problematic. I'm guessing that has something to do with the tile map here. It's probably because this also needs to be set to like -20 for offset, right? Yeah, this tile map might be like unnecessarily big as well. Let's make the tile map a little smaller. I think we can get away with like 70 by 70 or something like that. And then from there we could probably move everything, but it feels like that is probably going to be a little bit too much hassle for me to care about. Oh, there's some projection mode stuff as well. Interesting. So yeah, let's set this to like 75 by 75 instead. We're not going to even see out that far, so that might make it ever so slightly faster. Do you have collision on them? Yeah, I do have collision on them. Like I can't walk through them as the player. You do actually get stuck on them, but it's just I guess the collision doesn't obstruct the nav mesh for some reason, which is kind of weird. Let's just real quick, like, reload it. I'm tempted to blame nav meshes again, because that's kind of what I've been doing for everything, but I think we should be... Oh, there's the collision thickness override. No, I'm just an idiot. I needed to offset it downward. Nope. Yeah, okay, so now it should probably fix itself. There we go. Just for my sanity, I'm going to add collision to the center tile here as well. Because otherwise it's going to look real dumb. Like you have collision now, right? Yes. Why don't you update? Did I put those in the wrong layer? No, I didn't. Those are still on this layer. Kind of weird. Also doesn't actually matter because it's... The walls themselves are now colliders, so pathing will do its thing. It's just... It looks annoying, okay? Did you turn that off when doing the AI? No, I turned off the navmesh colliders for the display cases. Like these sprites specifically. What I did is, and I might as well turn it back on at this point. They're gonna get stuck, but who cares? What I did is, in here we have an option somewhere to do with nav meshes. Maybe not in the sprites. Oh, it's in the sprite components. Hold on. I remember. So in here, we have the fill collision underneath from nav mesh and can ever affect nav mesh. So now that I have this turned back on, the nav mesh will generate around the display cases as well, which is going to be a real fucking issue at some point in the future because I think we want to move everything for the display cases down a little bit more. Now that I see it like this, like let's move these down a handful more tiles. Just like down here-ish. And then for symmetry's sake, I think it might be better anyway to move that table over. So let's, I guess the table is on this layer, right? Yes, this layer. So let's just like take this and then it's kind of annoying that you can't move things At least not as far as I know. Maybe you can. I think it was at this height before. Maybe. Also. Yeah, so that creates a little bit more walking room around everything. It fills up the space a little bit more as well, so that's good. But now we have nav meshes everywhere, and we probably need a little bit more, like, better lighting in this corner now, because it's very dark. But we'll get to it at some point, surely. Yeah, I kind of like this, and this then leads to the, like, implied outside, which is kind of cool. These are some cards, card tables. I'm gonna put some cards on them in a moment. Let's load in those cards. And wait for an NPC to spawn and see if it actually does anything. I set the spawn time to 60 seconds, so we're just gonna sit here. And we're just gonna hang out for a moment. You guys got any plans for the weekend? Like, I'm legitimately looking over at OBS right now because it has a timer on it. And I want to see... Yeah, the sunlight is blinding, but hey, in my defense, we're making a TCG Tycoon game, right? The people... Oh, NPC, I think I saw something spawn. He already wants to leave. So I guess... Why doesn't he do anything? Interesting question. In my defense, like, people that come to this store are likely not the people that like sunlight. Okay. So is it something to do with the loading of, like, the save game load? My collision check for opening other inventories needs to be bigger, clearly, because I don't think I can reach my computer anymore. Hold on, let's go into the... Oh my god. Let's go into the player. I also updated the name to say BP player. Aren't you proud of me? Open inventory, query inventory actors. Yeah, sphere radius. Let's set that to like 200 instead. Shouldn't be too big because I don't want it to be overlapping multiple objects at the same time. And 200 might be a little too big. But we'll figure it out in a moment. Because we're going to be putting these cards into the cases anyway. So if I stand over here... Yeah, they're far enough apart to the point where this works fine. Okay, so we've got a couple of display cases here with cards in them that are going to sell for nothing. They're going to be free, but let's call this like 100. While we're at it, we might as well just give all of them a value. Because why not? 50. I don't know. It's kind of weird that this isn't as big as it should be. I don't know. Again, we'll look into it. I don't know why I keep taking them out. Has the NPC spawned yet? Because it feels like it's been longer than a minute, not gonna lie. I think he spawned and doesn't have interest. Yeah, so the has target value is kind of fucked up for some reason. So that part of the code doesn't seem to work properly. But why is that? If has target is false. So what we're just going to do is I'm just going to expose has target and check whether or not that actually is false on these guys. And I'm also going to be spawning them in quicker than 1 a minute. Because this is going to take forever otherwise to test. So we have BP NPC spawner. Let's just say 10 seconds instead. We're going to be crawling with NPCs in a moment. At least I can load in those cards now properly. So, okay, we have an NPC. Has target is true. Huh? I guess what must be happening is this is failing for some reason. And I don't know why. What this does is it gets a random... in the game mode, yeah, so... gets a random integer. With the maximum of the length of the array. And if the length of the array is greater than 0, it returns that one, otherwise it returns a null pointer. It seems like it returns a null pointer, which might imply that cases with cards is an empty array. So let's go to the display case CVP file. Don't have any code in there. Where are we adding this to? To that array of cases with cards. It used to work, so we just fucked up somewhere. It's not that we forgot to add in something. Yeah, they really love the sunlight. They're not actually nerds. Is it in set card visibility? Which would be in the display case blueprint, because that's blueprint implemented. I also have a mosquito bite, like literally on my lip, which is really annoying. Add case with card to the game mode. So, okay, so it does add them when we run set card visibility. I did test whether or not they worked when they were manually added. Like when we made the current save file, I added them manually. So it's not just a save load issue. That was my first instinct as well, but I don't think that's it. Oh, you mean the NPCs? No, the NPCs also probably that also doesn't make sense, but that is actually still a good thing to test. Like if I do this, what happens to at some point he's going to decide to try to find the target. This is very interesting. Because this guy doesn't give himself a target. Because there's no targets. Let me load in the cards, actually. I didn't load in the cards yet. Now that there are cards, this one does work. You're right. Huh. That is interesting. I don't know why he didn't wait there, but we'll just leave that for now. He's buying all my fucking cards. So, okay, why does that work? Oh, I know what the issue is, I think. When they are spawned in, I don't think they're getting auto-possessed by the... Yeah, auto-possessed AI only by placing in the world. They should be possessed when placed or spawned into the world. There we go. Okay, so now the spawned in ones also should work. Thanks for the tip. That actually ended up being exactly the thing that I needed to look at. Thanks. They don't need to get data when they spawn. But yeah, so we've figured out the issue now. It also spawns them in like real fucking quick after each other. I don't know what that's about. And there's also only the first one seems to be moving. Now, oh, because when they spawn in, they don't immediately start moving. Probably need to fix that up as well. Yeah, that is an issue, isn't it? And then he just yeets himself. Okay. Let's set timer by event, and then we also, like, after that, we do the first run through as well, so that it doesn't wait for like 10 seconds after spawning before it starts moving. So now when they spawn in, they should be... Okay, I didn't have the cards loaded in yet. I loaded the cards in now. Now when the next one spawns in a couple of seconds, like this one starts moving, and they immediately walk to where they also still are moonwalking. Ignore that for the time being. And they're also still dumb with their pathfinding. But again, ignore that for right now. We'll figure that out at some point. Okay, he's just literally picking up all the cards in the world. But you see, we have a little shop going on here. We've got a little shop going on here. People cease to exist in the middle of my shop. And get stuck on each other. But I think this is like an EQS solvable issue. Okay. We just need to have in the NPC have a variable for the exit location. And we're just going to make this like explosion spawn. It's the easiest way to do this now. If we just like refresh this node now, we now have that exit location. We break this transform, exit location, and then we can, when they decide to yeet themselves, instead of just literally poofing out of existence, they will first move to the exit location. And then when that move finishes, it destroys the actor. I guess also on request fails, just in case, otherwise it's going to stack up a bunch of these annoying little fucks. But now they will actually walk to the exit and then delete themselves once they reach the exit. Oh, you're selling ticket to avoid in that shop. Don't think about where the shop might be located or where the cards are coming from or where the people are coming from. Like, this is some Lovecraftian horror shit, if you think about it for too long. Yeah, so actually, like, kind of happy about all that. Let's just check whether or not when one of them decides to leave, that they actually leave, and then... Like, we're just going to stalk our customers here for a second. Fair enough. There were no cards available for him. So you go buy a card, or you go check out a card. You decide whether or not you want to buy it. You have a friend with you. That's cool. You reach the card that you want to buy. You guys are really like trigger happy on the sales, aren't you? Okay, just kind of ignore that for now. But he decided, actually, no, fuck this guy. I don't like him. He's a YouTuber. He's a piece of shit. So I'm going to leave now. But there's too many people coming into the shop trying to stop him from leaving. Also, I can just kind of stand here and keep him here forever. Like, do a proper roller coaster tycoon type of shit, right? But when he reaches the exit... Okay, so at some point it just decides, hey, move request failed. I'm going to delete myself. But these two guys are now also trying to leave. The spawn time is maybe a little too short. They left. Okay, cool. The guy that just spawned in... They're lining up against the table. Oh my god. My damn mind decided that tycoon owner is mad devil. I mean, you're not entirely wrong, I guess. It sells people cards. Every card gets a random chance to yeet to hell. But if they collect a rare card, they get sent to heaven. I mean, we can make that the lore. We can. I mean, I won't, but we could definitely make that the lore. That works. That works for me. Seriously though, for now, what we're going to do is we're going to go back into the NPC spawner and set this back to like 60 seconds. Does this have like a... It has an initial delay variance. It doesn't have a time variance, which is a little annoying. Can we like set timer? Do we have anything else for next tick? I don't think... Okay, so it's just going to be on a timer. I can make my own like custom timer by using event tick, right? Actually not that difficult, and I feel like, we probably should. Let's do that. Time. Because all that requires is just like setting time to time plus delta time. Yeah. On every tick. And when that happens, we have like a time to spawn. and we check whether this is greater than or equal to the time to spawn. And if it is, so we don't even need to set up this timer by events or this custom events. We just spawn. And then we set our time to spawn and a normal time. So we set our time back to 0. And our time to spawn will be a random range float, like in the range of, for now, let's add it to 60 to 90 seconds. So that way they won't exactly spawn every 60 seconds. There'll be a little bit of randomness to it. Makes it feel just a little bit more organic. It's a little bit of a hacky way to do it. It's not necessarily even hacky, it's just... like it uses event tick, so people are going to get upset. Because that's what Unreal developers do. They get upset at meaningless optimizations. Can you tell that I'm still salty about the casting video? I'm not salty at all. It actually performed remarkably well. There were a couple of annoyed people, but for the most part, it was actually pretty civil. So there we go. I guess we don't have any reason, you can start a timer event at that timer calls just without a looping option. Yeah, but that doesn't do what I wanted to do, right? Oh, I guess. Yeah, I guess I could actually. You're right. So what I could do is I could, on begin play, I could like set timer, let's say by event. Then make that custom event, and then at the end of the custom event, we can like not have it looping, and we can set timer by event again, and then like plug this into there and make it rerun the same event. That's probably better. Like, effectively, under the hood, this just kind of does this anyway. But this is a lot cleaner. So, that's a good idea. Let's just do it that way. And also, the Unreal Police isn't going to come after me for this one. Because I'm using timers, so it seems more professional. The timers use event tick by itself, didn't it? Why would... You fucking tell me! People here don't use event tick because it's horrible for performance, which it is because people put in stuff like, I don't know, like check sphere overlap on event tick on every potential collision channel 25 times. Yeah, of course, that's going to kill your frame rate. So people get told, hey, maybe don't do that in event tick. And what they hear is, never use event tick. And then they get told, like, oh, but instead of, like, doing something on event tick, you can just do it on, like, a timer every, like, 10th of a second. That does save you, like, a fair few executions of some more complex stuff. And what they hear is, everything should always be on a timer. People like to oversimplify things and, like, tend to go toward extremes when they like hear something that they don't fully understand, and that happens a lot within the Unreal. Well, a lot. It happens with a select amount of very loud people in the Unreal Engine community, I feel, which again is why I make that video about casting. People get told, hey, maybe don't use casting because yeah, you don't want to like overdo it with the casting. That's bad for your memory footprint. But then they turn that into, you should never use casting because casting is bad. Why is casting bad? Because casting is bad. That's why I made that video. And I'll tell you one thing for free. I have an exact type of video in that style about event tick as well for that exact same reason. Because like people legitimately, without thinking, don't use event tick and instead just do something like this, running a timer 100 times per second. If your game runs at 60 frames per second, it's just gonna run every frame anyway, right? I suppose if your game runs at 144 frames per second or something like that, 200 frames per second, this still save you a couple of executions. to be fair. But technically, I think this does add like a unnoticeable but like calculatable amount of overhead over just using a Ventic anyway. So this is actually worse than just using a Ventic on a very theoretical level. Don't quote me on that, but I feel fairly confident. That surely code will not eat performance in the Ventic. Yeah, no, it won't. It's entirely fine. I just kind of like got worked up about people who mean well. They mean well. Some people are a little bit like bitchy about it, but for the most part, these people mean well and try to like instill good behavior and good like habits into other developers as well. They don't mean to be dicks about it, right? It just comes off a little annoying at some point when you're being corrected on something, but they are actually like spreading incorrect information. I also should definitely not set down by event 0 here. I guess actually no, I don't want this one to run right from the start, so but I guess we don't need to do that. Yeah, so this, if I set down by event here, we might as well just use the delay now, right? Right? I probably should give it a name as well, not just custom event. Like, you can flame me for that one, okay? You should flame me for that one, as a matter of fact. There's certain things possible that you should avoid in Eventic, especially there's a possibility of some type of bug being generated with it. Oh yeah, no, definitely. Like, don't abuse Eventic. The advice of avoiding Eventic comes from the fact that beginning programmers figure out that this runs every frame, and as such, what they end up doing is they end up coding something like this. I'm not going to connect them all up, but like you get the point, right? They just do like a million bool checks and then branch their entire like behavior of their entire code of Eventic. And even this doesn't actually like cost that much performance, because a bool check is like, even if you do it a bunch of times in a bunch of vectors on Eventic, it's not that big a deal. But it's more about like an understanding of how code works, right? How functions call other functions, and how you like compartmentalize your code and make things like a little bit more modular in some cases as well. So the reason that people get told not to use Eventic is, in my view, mostly down to people who do this stuff. And there's not even for performance reasons. It's more for like just don't get used to coding this way, because it's gonna be a pain for you later. And most people take that and learn from it. Some people don't want knowledge, they just want answers. And if they're aware of that themselves, that's still not a problem. It's like the overlap where those two things meet, and people lack that self-awareness, where it becomes annoying. The only never advice that I use is in a level blueprint. I use level blueprints sometimes. I agree with you, though, that it is another one of those crutches where if you rely on it too much, it can become a little annoying later on, and it doesn't like instill good programming habits to rely on it too much. But for specific like scripting out specific like sequences of events, it's quite nice and more intuitive, in my opinion, than relying on only like object based code or like classes. There are many dogmas in programming, and they become almost religion. They must be balanced. That's exactly it. That's a really good way to putting it. Like, people go to the church of anti-casting and anti-eventic, and like the same way that I don't. Okay, that's not like, not to get like political about this, but the same way, like, I am not religious. I don't mind religion. I don't care. Believe what you want to believe. Let me believe what I want to believe. Sure. The moment you start like being all up in my face about it and declaring that I am wrong is where I start getting annoyed. Same thing applies here. Like, if you want to avoid casting, by all means, like, that generally is a good pattern to follow. Please do try to understand why you're doing it, but even if you don't, that's fine. Just don't bother me with it. Anyway, let's talk about programming. Let's do a little bit of programming. I'm going to change a thing around here, and what we're going to do is we're going to make... I think we're just going to do this in a widget, and don't kill me for this, but this will make sense in a moment. User widget will be a booster pack, because the only way that we're going to be interacting with these booster packs is going to be through the UI. So it might as well just be a user widget object. I wasted a lot of time using event tech until one day I tested myself with 1,000 loops to find out how much it consumed. that seems like a fun experiment. To be fair, specifically also in Blueprint, like if you don't nativize your code on building, which you can do, I don't know, I believe it's pretty good. But specifically in like Blueprint, like a loop in event tick, like the overhead of the Blueprint runtime starts to fuck you up a little bit as well. If you just do it natively in C++, it's even less of an issue. But I'm gonna be real with you, and not to like discriminate against Blueprint users, because I love my Blueprint people. But I feel like people who code in C++ are way less likely to have this kind of dogmatic view on programming issues. Because the moment you start working with C++, you really start developing like more of a general feel of how things actually work. Like, what does a cast do? A cast only works when you have a include. Right? And suddenly you have that include, and then you think, okay, but it's not just the class it includes, you're including an asset, because a blueprint is an asset, which has a link to other assets. And I don't know, for me that really started to click when I started to learn C++. Okay, let's have 0 padding on this. Why do we still have padding? Does the button have padding on its own? Why do we have padding? I hate buttons. Anyway, we have like a... I think we have like a graveyard image texture somewhere. Did I not import that? Cards, base sets. We have like a fantasy kingdom here, right? Yeah, so this one. With never advisors like casting annoys me the most. Now I think I know why. We had prototyping section in university, and they explain casting as checking if the object is a specific class. So yeah, like there is casting in general in coding has like that issue, right, where you have actually this is a C++ project. I can just open a C++ thing. Like casting in general has that issue, right, where if you want to cast or something, do I have a cast in here somewhere? Surely I have a cast in one of my classes. In the inventory component, maybe. I remember it's screaming at me that I was using a C-style cast, so surely I have a cast somewhere. Probably in a game mode, I would imagine. Which is not a great place to have a cast, to be fair. I think I'm doing it in the saved data asset somewhere. Maybe, maybe not. Wow. I have no idea where I added that cast. Let's not have that breakpoint there. The thing is, within Blueprint, casting is like specifically even more of an issue, so it's not in here. than it is in like normal coding, and I'll get back to that in a moment. And of course, if you're casting, like if you're doing dynamic cast, that does take some computer resources as well. But like not a big deal. Like there you effectively are just comparing, hey, is class A equal to class B? The issue with... I don't think I have any casters in this entire project in C++. That's actually kind of funny. The issue comes in that a cast only works when you have the include to that class, right? So now this class needs to be like aware of the other class, which means that whenever the game mode here is loaded in, it also always needs to keep all of these classes in memory. And when you're just doing that in C++, it's actually not that big a deal, because these classes are also just like a bunch of text. It's not that much memory being used. The issue comes in mostly within Unreal. And obviously, if you're working on some like very high grade like server software, where more performance cost means like millions of dollars potentially that you can save by optimizing your code, even this starts to matter. But for like the scope of game development, including an extra effectively like large text file, isn't actually that relevant. The issue in Unreal mostly comes in when you cast to a blueprint, because if we have like this blueprint, when this blueprint, which is a class but it's actually an asset, is loaded, this has a hard reference to the source price, and suddenly this sprite is worth like a couple of kilobytes, which is larger than any text file that you could reasonably code, right? Upgrade that to models that have textures, and you're working with entire megabytes, and suddenly, like, having things sticking around at all times in memory in Blueprint becomes a huge issue. Control-Shift-F, that would have been a good one. Too late. You skip 3... Did I really go off go for a couple of casts? Did I? Did I? Oh, I did. You're right. I'm just an idiot. Anyway, so yeah. Here we have the specific save game instance type, right, that we need to cast to. So for that, we need to have an include to that. You get the point. Even without me showing the cast, you get that point. I use references that I promote to a variable. So that's also a kind of like fake safety, because the thing is that the reason why like this casting node here, for instance, would be bad is because it creates a variable output like that. If I were to like, if I could not cast and I could just like promote this to a variable, which actually I think I have it as a variable. I don't. But let's say I could, I didn't know that was possible. That's good to know. But if I could just like promote this to variable instead, which I would need to like promote to variable, right? And then get rid of this and set this value, like the game mode itself sets it on this object, for instance. That actually doesn't save anything, because we still have that hard reference to the game mode. Now, for a game mode, that actually doesn't really matter that much, because the game mode is going to be loaded at all times anyway, and it's not going to have asset references, usually, in it. But avoiding a cast by just making a variable of the type that you're casting to and populating it with a value, it does save you the calculation of the dynamic cast, but again, that is actually quite negligible. The main issue comes in with the memory consequences of it, which I actually should just get rid of this print node anyway, which you also have with a variable. Which is, yeah, where interfaces can be useful. If you need to have like specific information from a specific class, instead of having a reference to that, just run a interface that provides you with that information instead, and suddenly you get rid of the hard reference. I think we were working on a booster pack. Okay, yeah, we had a padding issue. What's going on with this padding? Oh, it's in here. I also don't want any padding in there. There we go. Okay, we've got a button now that is shaped. Actually, I think this is a pretty good resolution for it as well. I wonder how many people that join in regularly for like all the streams are getting really tired of me talking about casting and memory and references, because I talk about this like every week or every other week at this point. But no, it's an important thing to talk about and to like actually educate people about, I feel. So yeah, that'll be a good placeholder for now. And then so each one of these can have a let's see, like load asset by path or something. Load assets. How did we do this again? Asset manager. I forget how we did this. A refresher is very nice. Well, at this point, I'm glad that it's still a refresher and not a broken record kind of situation. At some point, you'll start getting annoyed by it, I'm sure. And hopefully I stop before that point. I personally like Unreal's UI. I don't like it because it's UI, right? But for UI, I actually quite like it. Mostly because it's quite similar to Photoshop. And I know Photoshop very well. Or fairly well. I don't want to say very well. So that's not entirely like a fair take, maybe. Asset registry is what it's called. There we go. So yeah, assets registry. And then we can get assets by path. And the package path will be a variable. And we can do that on events constructs. That should be fine. And then we can just save that as the card assets. Card assets. So the idea would be that we have like a function on this which returns a array with random, like 5 random cards in it. How many cards are usually in a booster pack? In my case, I wish they added an option for additional pins to events. For example, event any damage taken. I wish you could add a pin to the damage component. I mean, technically, I think you can if you dig around enough in the source code and update the function in C++ for it. I think. But it's probably going to be a pain to do so. So yeah, maybe not actually like reasonable to do that. It's quite nice that Unreal has those like pre-set up interfaces, because like apply and receive damage are effectively just like a pre-made interface with server support, as a matter of fact, which is quite nice. So yeah, let's make a function here. Generates random cards. And what this will just do is it will in a for loop just make a like 5 of them. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's 6 of them. Let's do 5 cards for now. We can always upgrade this later. I want to make a local variable, please. How do I do that again? Our local variables are up here. Cards generated. I think those should be card slots. Card slot array, obviously. So we add to that. We make a card slots. And then can we just like random? This feels a little iffy to do it this way, but I suppose it'll work, right? Technically, it'll work. This is a better. There's better ways to do this, I'm sure. So. So yeah, what I'm thinking is, what if we generate the same card twice? It'll just be 2 card slots with the same card in it, and then when they actually get added to the inventory, they'll just be added to the inventory with the inventories function for that. So they'll be merged together in the same stack. So that's actually fine. Here, what we do is we get a random array item, and from here we need to, what actually like are we getting? Asset data structure. Okay, let me think for a moment here. Because I forgot how we set this up before. Let me look at chat real quick. I have a modular drone character. Depends on where it's damage, lose part, durability. God, I hate all the additional stuff that I need to get working. That does sound like a pain. Bit of advice: make something easier. It's not good advice. How do you run the 2D game without it consuming so much? I don't know, man. So yeah, how do we work this again? We have the package path, the package name, the asset name. What do we do in C++ again? If asset registry get asset by path, then we get this, which is the asset cards list. And then we have asset data, assets, asset.get assets. Gets us a generic asset that we need to cast to the U card assets. Okay, there's a lot of asset that I just set there. Let's try to get assets. Has a function for that. Cast to card assets. And that one can then go into there, right? Yeah, so that works. I already had an event dispatcher, accidentally added. On back clicked, and that will also provide us with a Mm. Yes. I just need to think there for a second. That will provide us with a list of cards. So that's cards, card slots, array. And then when this... no, we don't point that. No. What the fuck on? I'm thinking about this the wrong way around. I think I'm thinking about this the wrong way around. So yeah. When we click this, this will fire and provide... Yeah, no, so we do assign. Hold on, now we do assign. Right? No, do we? Am I losing my mind? I mean, the answer to that obviously is yes. But, like, for the reasons that we're working with right here. Like, if I go into my inventory viewer, what this does... And to be fair, this is a lot more programmatic, so we probably don't need to do it this way. We bind to on card pressed, and then we get that. So how do we implement that here? I feel like what I'm trying to do makes sense. Right? Oh, that's what I... Oh my god. Okay, yes, no, yeah, okay. That's the all-important step that I just kind of skipped, is that we need to link that to the actual button events. Oh my god. Okay. Unclicked. We call this, and to call that, what we need to do is we need to generate random cards, which doesn't have a return value yet. Hold on. Don't return every loop. Are you insane? No. I need to return the local variable here. Ah, man, that took me way too long. I found out to turn off the 3D core or something similar, but found I was never able to do it. In Unreal? Oh, you're talking about widgets. I thought you were talking about like 2D in general. I had a problem a long time ago that I made a widget and exported it without a map, without anything, but the executable continued to consume a lot of, since it was only a widget on screen. I suppose I'm planning to make something similar to that at some point, because like for the 10 people watching this, or maybe like the half a dozen other people who get this far into the vault as well, I figured out that YouTube has a way where you can open up videos full screen automatically, or at least like full browser, by just adding a little like string into the URL. So I was thinking, wouldn't it be fun to take all the video IDs from my channel, add them into a massive data table, and then use Unreal Engine to effectively turn my YouTube channel into an app made in Unreal Engine? I wouldn't publish it, because it would be shit. But I think it would make for an interesting and funny video, right? So I'm probably going to run into a similar issue compared to you there. Tried to sell. Yeah, so I think Blueprint code. I'm planning to make a video specifically about this as well, sometime like next month, maybe the month after. We'll see. About C++ and Blueprint, because I don't think it's a either or kind of situation, as you can see in this project. Sometimes I do something in Blueprint just because it's easier to do it in Blueprint, like timing-based events, that kind of stuff. But for the most part, I like programming in C++ more. I think if you're using Unreal Engine and you're only using one or the other, you're kind of using the engine wrong. Which is like fair up to everybody to use the engine how you want to use it. It's a tool to make what you want to make with it. But I feel like the engine was very much designed for you to use both together. Where certain things just make sense to do in Blueprint, and the majority make sense to do in C++. Tried about half a year to make myself Blueprint code. Every time I return back to C++. Don't know why, just can't code normally. Yeah, I don't think you should be constructing the majority of your code in in Blueprint, unless C++ specifically, like people have difficulty with C++. I don't think the majority of your code should be in Blueprint. I think the way I like to think about it is I like to program in C++, setting up all like my system code, setting up my functions, my components, my classes, and then the like final implementation of a lot of those tools that I've now made in C++, all those functions, to strip those out in Blueprint. That's kind of how I like to think of it. Like C++ is for programming, Blueprint is for scripting. No, doing your entire code in Blueprint is fine. If you prefer using Blueprint, but if you're using C++, and Blueprint together, the majority should probably be in C++ as far as you're comfortable with it. You can make an entire game with just Blueprint. Like lots of people have done it. That's fine. But if you're like using both of them in tandem, you're probably going to spend most of your code or time coding in C++. But I think Blueprint does have some value in scripting things out. I personally don't love programming massive things in Blueprints because it takes a while, and I mean it takes a while when I get distracted as well, of course. But like even things like this, right? Not this one, the NPC. Which one was the NPC? This is the NPC, I believe. Like this is about as deep as I feel comfortable making a function in Blueprints, and the only reason that this exists in Blueprints is because like this move to action or actor or location node, this latent node here, it's just easier to work with in Blueprint and C++, because in C++ you need to set up like a movement request, and then you need to run that movement request, and then you can add a callback to it. Here it's just like a node with an onMove finished pin. It's just easier and smoother to do. So it's worth it for me to like run all this in Blueprint as well, just to be able to use this node. Technically speaking, like this could be a C++ function, and this could be a C++ function, and I have just 3 nodes here. Could do that as well. It's just making your life the smoothest it can be. And if your life being the smoothest it can be means entirely in C++ or entirely in Blueprint, that's different for everybody. But I think either side of that, like, spectrum would probably gain something by getting comfortable and familiar with a mix of the two. Suffering through Unreal, I have rigged FBX 3 meshes. In Unity, it's set I import the FBX, can easily disable any of the three meshes by disabling the mesh in the hierarchy, but on Unreal, yeah, Unreal, that's not trivial. You're right about that. It's a little annoying how that works in Unreal compared to that. I had this exact same issue a while ago. The way I ended up doing it is I just disabled a specific material because those separate meshes just happen to have a separate material. I think there is something in the... I don't remember. I think in the import process there is a way to import separate meshes as like separate skeletal meshes. That will, I think, mess up your skeleton animations, maybe though. Yeah, it's a little bit of a problem. I don't know at the top of my head know the solution, but I recognize the problem. I've had this problem in the past as well. Okay, so now let's actually try to get back to what I was doing because I let myself get way too distracted there. It's the chest inventory screen, WBP card. Where the actual hell is my PC screen? This is part of the reason why I animate a lot of stuff in Unreal now, is because you can actually more easily just add different components together and rig them up like that. Or not really rig them up actually, but it's a pain. It's a pain that I actually don't think I have a very good answer for. Which makes it worse. Because Unreal, the issue is that Unreal, when you import it, I believe, treats it as one mesh that just happen to have like separate separate geometry. And I think you can import a skeletal mesh as its separate components, but then it's no longer parented properly to the skeleton, I don't think. Which is a problem. Where the ever living fuck is the class that I'm looking for here? No, but seriously, where is it? Open inventory, there we go. Oh, it's just a chest inventory screen. I haven't made... Oh yeah, that makes sense actually. Yeah, let's copy over the chest inventory screen. We're gonna need to change a lot about this. PC screen. So if this is going to have a wrap box inside of it, or not, we don't actually need that to be an inventory, do we? It just needs to be a wrap box on this canvas panel. So let's just make this... actually, probably better to be a scroll box. Right, the combined mesh flag I noticed applies to static meshes. Once skeleton is evolved, it doesn't seem to be a way to come. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that's it. You're right. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure how you would fix that. Right at the top of my head. Like aside from having the asset exported as a skeletal mesh with like bones, and then having the other two things as... Yeah, so that probably would be a way to do it. If you like... export it as like 3 different things. So you have your like let's say that this is like your Blender file, your Maya file, or whatever. You have your like main like character dude. I guess this would then be the skeletal mesh, and then you could export the other 2 components as static meshes, and then in Unreal, when you have them in a blueprint, reparent those static meshes to the bones that they belong to in the skeleton. Because you can you can add a static mesh component as a child of the skeletal mesh, and you can give in a socket or just a bone that it should parent it to. So that probably is the best way that I can think of right now to fix that. And that way you get individual control over every single component of it, because you also have references to each thing individually in your code as separate components. That is what I like. That's what my mind is going to right now. But I don't know if this is the way that you like should do it. There might be a better way to do it. But if there is, hopefully somebody in chat knows, because I do not. Okay, so the scroll box will contain booster packs, and we can just put those in. Holy shit! Hell no! Not like that. Not like that. Not like that at all. Just like outline them to there and then there. Can we make these bigger? I guess what we do is we go like somewhere in here, surely. It's one of these. I think it's this one. I guess we just go into the size box and make this bigger. So like 200 by 450. 300 by 450. $250 by $450. That seems like a pretty good aspect ratio. Yeah, that seems pretty good, except the fact that it still isn't outlined. But that might be a scroll box setting, actually. Yeah, I think it's still stuck to the top left. Yeah, I don't want it to be on the top left. I want it to be... It doesn't actually do anything, does it? Like the horizontal one does, but the vertical one doesn't. That's weird. Oh, that might be because the scroll box is set to being a horizontal. Hold on. Might be a scroll box setting. Do we have like a direction? Like scroll orientation, vertical. If we set this to horizontal, there we go. That's what I wanted. Yeah. Dude, at least from my perspective, part for the course, since Unity handles it so easily. Yeah, Unity does handle that easier than Unreal. I do remember that. I don't know if Blender Unreal workflow changes required or something. I think maybe can be his option. Trying to find out something right now. Yeah, if you guys find a better solution than the idea that I offered up there, do let me know, because it's actually a thing that I've run into in the past as well. And like at this point, I don't really run into it anymore because I'm working around it, but it would still be good to know if there's a like easier solution. Yeah, the search engine is it's gonna be difficult to find. Maybe ChatGPT can like do a thing. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe you can. I don't know. Might be a thought to look into. Seeing if ChatGPT has like answers. It's probably not, because ChatGPT is generally not that good with Unreal stuff, I find. Probably because its data set is trained on the internet, and the Unity forums are just like a lot more active, sadly. That seems about right. I don't know. It's good enough. I think we only have 3 card packs, right, at this point. I haven't even imported the 3rd one yet. So yeah, we've got 3 card packs, 20 cards each card pack, 60 in total. I think that's good enough for this little side project. Import meshes in bone hierarchy. That's actually a good one. Let me know if that helps, because if it does, that will also be a good like learning moment for me. So yeah, none of this actually is going to be usable. I just realized. Yeah, actually, we don't need any of this shit. I don't know why I copied over the chest inventory, because we're not going to use any of this. Except input mode, sure, we use that. We probably want the player inventory, because we want to add cards to it when we buy cards. We don't need a chest inventory, because this thing doesn't have actually like any storage for itself. And then on close inventory, I guess we do also need this in there still. I'm going to keep the sequence node. Now that I think about it, because that was quite nice, just to be able to have all this. This closes the inventory, right? And then let's call this like booster pack 1, 2, and 3. And then I guess we also want to make this into a scroll box instead of an inventory. So we don't actually need to display the inventory, we just want to make this a little wider. Let's actually just put in the cards right away. Maybe we don't need that one. Maybe what we need is... Oh, that's the only way we can display cards, is it? In that case, I think what we're going to do is we're going to put a rep box in our scroll box, just in case. So we can put this one in here. And then the rep box will actually... like we have... That's 4, 5... my dude. This does need to be anchored properly, though. Why are you being a bitch? Anyway. Bone hierarchy is interesting. I found importing an Avbiac skeleton. I'm reading different people through each other. What about meshes that are parented to the bone but armature deformed? That is what parenting to bones does, right? But that's effectively... Oh, it's not an entire mesh. Yeah, no, you're right. Like, that's not an entire mesh, so that's not going to work. Yeah, no, I get you now. Yeah, that's also a good point, actually. Can you... Like, if you have a skeleton mesh, can you not, like, just hide anything under a certain bone? I don't have a skeleton mesh here. Never mind. I can't test that. um... Oh, there we go. I should put it to fill, not to order. But now that we have it like this, it feels like we should be adding 6 cards per pack, just for like symmetry's sake. On different resolutions, it's going to look differently on like different aspect ratios. I know, but yeah, let's add a 6th one as well. Make all of these into a variable. Can we just like import these as like an array? That's annoying. Guess we'll do it like this. That's fine. Okay. And then the other ones also need to be variables so that we can hook them up. This whole booster pack thing, actually, I don't think is going to be that big a deal. I think this is going to work relatively well. Assign on pack clicked. Yeah, so we just like do this 3 times, right? So we do it for booster pack 2 and booster pack 3. And then we'll just make one function that runs all that. So a function that just takes in these cards. Why are you bitching? Oh, that's gone. So we don't need to. Oh, we don't need to set that at all, do we? That's right. Wait, no value is being returned by that. What do you... Yes, it is. Right? Which one of these? No value will be returned by reference. Parameters cards. Doesn't need to be returned by reference. A copy is fine. Why do you think it should be by reference? I'm providing a local variable. Referencing that it should be a copy. Unreal. You're drunk. Go home. Can we just make array real quick? I mean, I guess this technically will be a little easier to do. Oh, I guess we don't need a last pin. Can we remove element pin? There we go. You guys seem to be figuring it out at least. Happy to hear that. Hold on, can you... Does that work? Hold on, does this work? Because if that's the case... Can anybody tell me if this results in issues? Hooking up 3 references to one bind-on event. Because that doesn't matter that much, but that's actually interesting to know. Never really thought about that. So I guess we just for each loop over this then. And get a copy. I mean, it's a pointer, so it doesn't matter. To that. And we set card slots to this card slots. And then I guess we also want to like redraw card. And I think that's all there is to it. I think now when we get a booster pack, it should at least display a set of random cards. If we do one last thing. And that is finding our blueprint for the computer. Display case. It's just actor. Oh, that's BPPC. I think, right? Now this is the NPC spawner. This is the... chest. I need to close some things and reopen them. There we go. Chest inventory. This should be the PC inventory or the PC screen, to which we don't need to provide a chest inventory component. It's always nerve-wracking to run this when it like freezes for a second there. Okay. That didn't do shit. Let's print button clicked. And let's also, so yeah, we don't need that anymore. We don't need this anymore. Let's also print card added. Button clicked, it's not trying to add the cards. Okay, so... Oh, am I just stupid? No, I mean, yes, I am, but no, this, not because of this. This should work. Unless this cast fails, hold on. Which makes no sense, but we... Oh, no, I am stupid. I am very stupid. Let's go through this together, right? I don't know if you guys are still troubleshooting each other's stuff or listening to me or whatever. Doesn't matter. What is the issue here, you might think? The issue is that if I go into here, we're trying to load an asset path. None. I need to actually provide the asset paths, which is... yeah, you guys are hopefully figuring it out. Okay, let's try to copy asset path, right? Yeah, copy path. So if you just copy the path for both of these. And then we... Do I have the card sprites for Dark Horrors as well? Should have that imported as well, right? I don't think I do. I had one for that as well, but seems like I haven't imported that yet. It's not that important for right now. Okay, with that tested, let's save everything. And once again, try to get this thing to work. That doesn't delete. No, I can see that like 1S, whatever. There we go. It generates some random cards with random values. Fantastic. I can't actually scroll. I don't think the scroll box part is working, but every time we do this now, it generates a random set of 5 cards, not 6 cards. We'll get back to the 6th card in a moment, but this is really fucking cool. Now if I do this, it'll generate horror cards, and if I generate this, it'll generate eventually sci-fi cards. So we can buy booster packs, or we can generate them. We don't have buying yet, but that's trivial to implement. That's really fucking cool. So now all we need to do is, when that happens, we also need to like add them all to the player's inventory, but that's like really easy. But the first thing that we should look into probably there is the fact that the scroll box for this didn't work. Why would that be? That is interesting. Okay, don't know, don't care. Well, I do care, but probably not a thing that I want to spend significant time into right now. So yeah, we redraw that card. We actually generate random cards. We generate 1 more. So we would generate 6 every single time. And then from there, we get the player inventory components, and we simply add a card. I have a function for that, right? Yes, I do. So we add the card slots here. And now, I think, let's test this out. It should be as easy as that, adding things to my inventory. Now, we also need to check whether or not we have the money for it, but like we should have 6 cards in the inventory now. We do. We buy some of these, and now we should have those cards in the inventory as well. And wouldn't you know it, we do. The scaling method on the like pixel art seems a little blurry. Well, that's fine. So that actually means that we effectively have the game working. There's a lot of polishing that we need to do. For instance, we need the navigation for the NPCs to work. Holy hell. Which is actually a very good point. How are we going to do that? I don't know. We'll figure it out. Because I'll also need to navigate throughout each other, or like around each other. So I don't know. There's going to be a bit of fucking around with EQS. I think what we're going to do is, I don't know if I'll be streaming tomorrow. Kind of depends on how my day of work goes. I might be streaming sometime during the weekend, and otherwise just like next Tuesday. We'll probably just spend an entire stream fucking about with the EQS to make the navigation for the AI work a little bit better. That is the most important part right now. After that, we just like add some cost to buying the cards from the store. And then we have basically the gameplay loop finished. The only thing then we do need to do one more thing. That is the decision-making process on whether or not a NPC wants to buy a card or not. Right now, it's literally just a coin flip. That should be a little bit more based on the actual value of the card versus the amount that we're trying to sell it for. And from there, it would just be a lot of quality of life things that I'm not going to do for this project, because frankly, we've spent long enough on this project right now, right? You mean yielding them from existence was not the plan? We've already fixed that. We've already fixed that. That said, though, there's going to be like 50 of them just spawned in now, I think. Yeah. You'll see that they start moving all at the same time, probably. Oh, they can't move because they're on top of each other. Okay. Yeah, that's funny. But they don't just yeet out of existence anymore. Well, they do, but they at least have the common decency to walk back over to the door before they do. This one actually just pushed itself onto another layer, so it doesn't have collision anymore. Oh my goodness. That's it's fucking mental. So yeah, he didn't want to buy that one. He goes to check out this one. Oh, and we need to stop them from moonwalking. Also relevant. We need to implement directionality for these guys. And there's a second one. It kind of feels a little nice to have these guys just kind of walking around my store. And frankly, for the most part, like, unless this happens, it works well. Okay, so that guy just yeeted from existence because I guess when he tries to walk to the door and his path gets obstructed, he does still delete himself. But that is by design. Otherwise, that's just a failsafe. That failsafe should be happening a lot less when we have the movement implemented properly. So, okay, so now all the cards are bought, which is nice. Except for the fact that he's now just going to stand around here. So we probably also should have something where if there's no cards available, they also leave. Programmers have 4 states. Why is this working? Why is this not working? I'm stupid and I'm genius. I have all of... No, he didn't just go behind the floor. What happens is... what we do here is he tries to pick a display case. He gets a random card, removes that from the available pool of things to pick from, checks to be sure if it is valid. Then he moves to that location, decides whether or not he wants to buy the card. If he does want to buy the card, he does this, clear the card, and starts again. If he doesn't want to buy the card, what he does is he does another bull check on whether or not he wants to stay in the store. If he doesn't want to stay in the store, he moves back to the exit and there he deletes himself. But we also have this on request failed. So if the movement request didn't end up succeeding, which means that he gets stuck on something for some reason, he also just deletes himself to make sure that we don't end up having like 50 characters all getting stuck on stuff, then getting stuck on each other, and nothing actually like ever despawning. This is just a failsafe, which again, that should happen a lot less once the movement of the characters starts being less janky. So that's why he just blinked out of existence. And hopefully it'll be less janky after we've done some like EQS stuff. Where's exit location at runtime? The exit location just gets set when they spawn by the spawner. So the spawner just takes its own location value and puts that in to the NPC blueprint. So they like spawn. This actually looks kind of cool with like this darkness all around and everything being 2D. So they spawn in right here. And then they walk into the store, and when they want to leave, they walk back here. And when they get back here, they just like, poof, delete themselves. Which works when there's not 50 of them. getting stuck everywhere. We already tested this. This works. It's just the fact that they get stuck that messes up now. Imagine you just get stuck in something in real life and you just cease to exist. That would be horrifying. Then again, look around this place. Isn't this horrifying as is? Like, this is pretty horrifying. I feel. This is pretty scary. Let's see. Can we maybe do a little bit extra stuff with the post-processing here still? We can do some faded film stuff. I actually like it more when it's all the way up to 1, to be fair. More saturated that way. Huh. I don't know what any of these values actually do. I'm going to be very honest about that. This one doesn't seem to do that much. Oh, black clip is probably... Ooh, got to be real careful with that. But black clip is a real good one to have, I think. And now white clip we probably also want to be really careful with. But nothing seems that's bright enough for white clip. I think it was 0.04 or something. Okay, press a point light. I want to see something. 1 second. I just want to like walk around with these settings. That feels kind of nice. It's a little more vibrant again. The chest is very much sore thumb. Yeah, so the point light. Well, I don't have point lights. I only have spotlights and rectangle lights. But I can add a point light if you want to. What do we want to check? A point light doesn't really have much use, I suppose, in a 2D environment. It's just a more expensive spotlight at that point. What are we checking? Because I'm going to be real, I don't really have anything else to do. Maybe create a game inside a widget. I don't even want to think about that. Like that, that's technically possible, I suppose, right? And it would actually be 2D, but it would also... My god, I don't even want to think about that. Probably wouldn't actually even be that much more performant than doing it this way. Funnily enough. I don't know. I think... let's add like one more light down here as well. Make this one a little bit smaller. Oh, not that's the attenuation radius. I want to just make this one a little bit smaller like this. And then we have like this one up here. Bring it up a little bit there. Especially now that the black is actually like properly clipping as black. This is starting to look a little bit better. That's definitely not it, though. Maybe make the lights different colors. There is already quite a lot of different colors in here. Like this light is like a pinkish color. These lights are a little bit like warmer. This one is a little bit colder. We could probably do a little bit more with it. Like these bigger lights we probably could give a little bit more color to as well if we wanted to. Make this one a little bit more yellow. Just to have a little bit more variation, I suppose. And then make this one slight red tone. Don't want to overdo it though. That's very easy to like have with lighting is like accidentally go a little bananas with it. And then this one maybe like have a slight like green, bluish green tinge to it. And that has a little bit more color going for it. Maybe these spotlights are a little too like obviously a spotlight at the moment. But I personally don't really mind that. Let's just have a little walk around my shop. Like, especially when you're just walking around in it. It's not that obvious that there's spotlights. Not as painfully obvious as it is when you're looking at from above it, at least. Could maybe use a tad bit more light here. But I do want to have the contrast of the light from the outside as well. For the most part, I think we're getting pretty close to finally finishing this thing the fuck up, which is quite nice. You could try to... Ooh, that's actually a fun idea. Putting in the spotlight in the blueprint itself and changing the color of that light. Ooh, I like that. That is a good idea. I'm not going to do it right now, but I'm going to keep that in mind for the next stream, because that's actually a very fun idea. It should be remarkably easy. It's just like adding in a spotlight. I'm running out of caffeine. Like just putting in a spotlight and then rotating that around. Why can I not rotate this around? Oh, because we need to compile first. That's fair. Now, just for shits and giggles right now, we can just copy over the actual settings from these lights in the level. I said I'm not going to do it right now, and here I am. Like spotlights, we can just copy over the light settings as a whole. Which also makes them easier to move, to be fair. So it's actually just a good idea to begin with. And then paste these in. I don't think it actually pasted them in. That's too bad. But then on set card visibility, what we can just do is at the very end here. If we add a new card, just get the spotlights, set color. And I guess we can like do a switch on that very simply. Like when it's common, it's just a pretty normal white color, maybe like leaning a little warm though. And then when it is uncommon, I don't even know what my color coding is, to be honest. I think uncommon is blue. Maybe. Is it? Let me check in the card. I have it set somewhere in here, I believe. Yeah, so we have the uncommon. Okay, common is green. That makes sense. We just use the WoW colors, I believe. Which everybody does. Like at some point, somebody at Blizzard just decided this, and now the gaming industry just operates under that belief. So that's a more bluish purple, and then we have a more pinkish purple. So we have like this. I could just copy over the values, I know. It's probably good to make them more exaggerated for the lights, though, than for the cards. And then if there's no card in them, we also set it back to whites. And this is just a fallback, but we should also put it in there. So that should now, if I remove these spotlights, definitely needs to be stronger in their values. Yeah, there's no bigger lie than deciding that you're going to do something tomorrow and then just doing it immediately. Like, that's just something that everybody does. that's not just me, luckily. Oh, they're just up too high. They're just outside the attenuation radius. Let me just see if I can, like, if we increase the attenuation radius, maybe the inner cone angle. Is it just, they just also need to be a fuck of its own brighter. And maybe just lower down as well. Something like that. And then they need to also probably be a little bit more outlined. Can I at least copy this over? Copy all properties. Shift right mouse button. Yes. Was it this one? I'm going to start closing a lot of these things because I'm not going to be using them anymore. At least not today. And it will help me actually find the blueprints that I'm looking for. Display gates, that's the one. Paste. Okay, that works a little bit better. There is one little issue here though, and that is that this is outlined to the bottom left, and it shouldn't be. It should be outlined to the center, which I guess this is how we're going to do that. Okay, so now they all have a little bit more. Probably want to have them a little lower still. Just like a little lower. Okay, that might be a little too obvious, but now that we have like a color thing going on with them as well, it's maybe not a bad thing that the like circles around them are a little bit obvious. So now if I load in these cards, we have all these fun little colors. That's kind of cool. And if I take out this card, it becomes just white. I like that idea. Oh man, that was really cool. Thanks. You can also just turn off the card, the lights. That is true. Maybe that works a little bit better because that differentiates it from it being a common card. I'm a little split on it. Because I do also, like, there's also the fact that the card icon itself becomes visible and invisible when you add and remove cards. But if we just make this black, let's see what that feels like. Does that become too dark at that point is the question. We have the rectangle light above it. I feel like this might be a little too dark. That's fun. Like if it's just one card that is removed, that's kind of fine. But if it's all of them, I think it's a bit too dark. But we can make... There's a middle ground there. There's a middle ground. Instead of making it entirely black, we could just say, hey, 50% grey. There's less light, but there's still some light. Yeah, I think that works. And then when we populate them with cards, there's colors and brightness. Cool, yeah, love it. Try rarity like white, green, red, purple, yellow. That's kind of what we have right now. We have white, green. Like our rarity system. Again, I think I've just kind of taken it from World of Warcraft. We googled it because I didn't know that off the top of my head. But our rarity system is... Oh, that's the wrong one. Is just this, right? We have common, white, green, blue, purple. This could maybe be a little bit more pronounced, but do be aware that these are just overlay colors for the cards themselves. These two probably could do with being a little more different, to be fair. We can change them around. Anyway, it's been a nice one. I actually had a lot of fun. I hoped to have a little bit of this fun yesterday, but my internet provider just decided that you're not streaming today, apparently, because my connection was shit today. Everything was fine. Is that from a palette? No, that's just from like doing a Google, like World of Warcraft. Rarity, rarity colors, and then I just kind of like pick colors that I like. So yeah, we just kind of did it like this, right? Where we just Google this and then poor quality. We didn't do that. We just took white, green, blue, purple, and I suppose orange might be better than the other purple that we have. Oh, I actually did a proper zoom in. So I guess that works a little bit better. Let's actually change that to orange then. Modern World of Warcraft rarity for usual players is 90% PF time. Is pure epic. It's like Arc actually. I'm pretty sure like 90% of games just use World of Warcraft system because they they just kind of decided at some point and everybody followed. But maybe somebody else, like maybe it's not even World of Warcraft. Maybe I can definitely see. I don't play D&D myself, but I can definitely also see a situation where like D&D came up with this color scheme and everybody's just run with it, and it's now just kind of the default. Like if you play a game, any game, and you see a purple drop, you get excited, right? So that any game does that. I didn't know that orange was above purple though. That's a little weird. It feels like purple should be the top color, but hey, what do I know? So we have all those. I suppose that this can then become like a lot more purple. And this one we can set to orange. And let's just saturate all of them like a lot more to begin with. I don't know if we have any legendary cards in the test save file. So I don't know if any of them are going to show up as orange. Probably there's a psychological study behind those colors. There very well could be. Wouldn't surprise me if there was. But it also wouldn't surprise me if it was just a guy deciding that at some point and it just stuck. Oh, I didn't even run the game. Like, if those choices were made today, I don't doubt that that would be like there would be like $1 million. Oh, there's a lot of legendary cards here. Holy fuck. Okay. If those decisions were made today by a company like Blizzard, I don't know why I said like twice. Definitely, I don't doubt there's like $1 million study behind that. But there's also the aspect of when this was initially developed. We're talking like 20 years ago, right? I'm not saying that gaming as an industry was not big and not profitable and there was like a lot of money going on in it, but it's nowhere near like what it is today. Like even with World of Warcraft itself, one of the biggest MMOs in the world. So it also feels more likely that like 20 years ago it was just a guy in an office deciding it and not really thinking about it too much. For my first small game that I released, my girlfriend gave me a class color palettes because yeah, color palettes are quite important to get right. Like my color palettes for for these sprites are horrendous, but these sprites in general are like kind of real bad, so I don't really care too much. I try to like for my actual game project, I try to keep like color, not necessarily color palette, but like colors do play an important part in a lot of the character like design to some extent. And like using complementary colors makes the design just look more interesting. Anyway, it's been a good stream. I'm gonna head out now. Thanks everybody for stopping by. It's been a good one. Hopefully the one issue with the Unreal skeletal mesh stuff has been fixed. I don't know. I'll be back maybe sometime later this week, and otherwise on Tuesday again, to hopefully start approaching a finished product for this game. I would very much like to finish this game up this week and just throw it up on itch.io for everybody to like give it 5 minutes of playtime and then go do something useful with that time. Bye-bye.